Hello, good morning, one and all. Today I'm going to explain about how to design a cloud-based PE malware detection API. So, so to do this, we need a data set, right? So the data set is right here. So I am using this data set ember underscore dataset 2000. So this is my data set, and this GitHub repository consists of so many important files. So you need this library to solve this, to design a cloud-based PE malware detection API. In order to do this, there are three important tasks one has to focus on. One has to do their data processing part, and then they have to design a model. And the second task is to deploy their model in the AWS SageMaker. And the final part is they need to write a client for the SageMaker, and they need to test whether a portable executable file is malware or not. So I'll walk you through the code, what I have done uh, to design this malware detection API. First, I'm going through the data processing part. This is my data processing part. So before I get into my code, so I have a few instructions. So what needs to be done? So if you could see here, I'm installing a particular versions of, throughout my code, I would install some particular versions of libraries because, so what I'm doing is I'm using the Ember library from GitHub because they really made my pre-processing easier because they have designed the vectorization of our data set, so which is easy for me to use their data set, because if I had to construct my own, it would take me at least 3 to 5 days, given that this data set is huge. So so I think it's best in our interest to use that data set. So so I would install libraries like this, and then so here is my data set. It's in so I have stored it in the S3. This is my data set, and then I would use drive, and then after downloading the dataset, I will just keep that dataset in my drive, because you never know, the physical memory of your running application might go. So you cannot take your chance, because given that the dataset is huge, you may run out of your RAM at any time, and the collab will crash and you have to run again. So it's just gonna waste your time. So I think it's best to save all these data files in your drive, so that you could pull them easily. And then I'm using their GitHub repository as my pre-processing library. And then and then what I would do is I would just split the data set into try and test model. And then given that the data set has three labels, one is -1, 0, and 1. 0 and 1 are divided into malicious and benign samples. The -1 samples were like not categorized, so we don't need them, because we are designing an supervised algorithm. So I'm just removing all the data which is labeled with -1. And then I'm using H5py to store all these files in H5py format, because you never, given that the data set is huge, you never know when this collab gonna collapse. So that's why I would store my all my data sets and all my processed models in the form of H5 format, and then I would save them in my drive, so that it would be easy for me to fetch them super fast, and execute from the step where I have lost. I think it's in my best interest this way. And then I have designed a keras model to process. It's a neural network design. I have constructed this design, and then so I have used a scalar uh, because uh, it wouldn't overload the memory, and then it would help you to process the data faster. This is my model, and this is my training method on the model. And then I would just get the accuracy and loss of our model. And then what I have to do is, so I have my model ready, right? So I'll test it with a sample PE file. um, so this is the part where I'm using the ember library. uh, it would just like help you to get fetch vector super fast. That's the best thing I have liked in their library. And then I would get the model of what I have constructed here, because I have saved this model in H5P5 format, and then I have pushed it into my drive. You could see that in my code. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying. I'm trying to download a exe file. After getting exe file, I would just test it by passing through this. So if you could see here, what I got, the value between 0 to 1 is the value I got is 0.69. uh, of course, so what's my threshold is zero point 0.5. If it's less than zero point 0.5, I would treat it as a benign sample. If it's greater than zero point 0.5, I would treat it as malicious sample. Of course, it's malicious because I got this from a malicious exe files data site. Yep, this is my data processing part. The fact where I suffered most is the processing this humongous data set. But thanks to HDFI and Google Drive, where I could save all my current state of the my execution, and then I could just proceed from there. And Ember library. And then next, what I would like to show is deploying these model into AWS SageMaker. Um, so this is my AWS management console. So I'm getting on to the SageMaker. The SageMaker is machine learning thing where you could deploy your machine learning models on SageMaker. So the model I have built, I'm trying to deploy it on the AWS SageMaker. Make sure you have the correct IAM roles in accessing the SageMaker, or else it would be messed up. I'm opening my Jupyter lab of how I deployed the code. Okay, so yep, we got there. And so if you could see the directory of this inside keras model, I have something like model.h5, model.json, weights.h5. These are the three things I have saved in my data pre-processing execution into my drive. And then I got them from down there, and then I just kept them here because I'm going to construct my model using this. The weights is the data pre-processing weights, the model where I have built that. This is my H5 model. This is JSON. This is just the abstract version of your neural network. So I would just construct my model on top of this, so that that model and this model would be same. Let me walk you through my code. Yep, this is my code for the machine learning model deployment. Uh, you need to have the execution role to do with Boto 3. So you should have it. And then this is my code for that. If you could see here, this is how I deployed into the SageMaker. And then it took me 8 minutes 34 seconds to deploy this model. And this is my endpoint uh, for this model deployment, and the final step is to have a client, and you could be able to test whether your model is working or not. So I have to create a client, right? So this is where my client is. So this is my client. So what my client would actually do is, it would just it was just trying to create a client to that the SageMaker. This is the SageMaker URL I got after I deployed, and that's my endpoint. I would just create a client to my SageMaker, and then I would try to send the file to that endpoint, and I would try to get a response from there. And this is the code. Yeah. So this is the code for my client. So you would upload your client.py file in your Google Drive, and then you would install all the required libraries again for this client execution. And then so this is the place where I'm getting the malicious exe file. After I got my exe file, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to execute the client.py file, and I'm sending the library. This is the exe file where I want it to get tested, and I would want to know result, right? So I am passing I'm passing my exe file to the SageMaker endpoint, and then what I got a value is zero point 0.5. So what I chose is, if it's less than zero point 0.5, I chose it as benign, and if it's greater than zero point 0.5 or equals to zero point 0.5, I was taking it as malicious. And then yeah, it's malicious. Yep, that's all. Thank you.